Okay, this is ABC Costing Problem 1, Brilliant Accents Company. So this is the file that you want, or the paper, and you probably want to print it off or have the pro copy sheet with you. Okay, and I'm going to put it on the side and solve it here. So we've got, let's see, I'm going to put, so this is Chapter 5, Problem 1, Brilliant Accents. And let's see what the problem wants us to do. We've got, okay, production takes 10, 25, and 10 machine hours to manufacture 1,000-unit batches, okay, of brass, chrome, and white faucets. So they make 30,000 brass and 50,000 chrome and 40,000 white faucets. All right, and here's our selling price. And we've got direct materials, direct labor, and overhead. And then the hours per batch. So 40 direct labor hours per batch. Okay? For the brass one. Okay? Then 10 and 30. And there's machine hours, and setup hours, and inspection hours. Alright, and what else do they tell us? The total overhead costs. Total overhead costs and activity levels for the year are estimated as follows. We've got setups should total $465,500 with 95 setup hours, and inspections, our total would be $405,000 with 2,700 inspection hours. Okay, so our total overhead is $870,500, and we've got direct labor hours is 2,900 hours, and machine hours are 2,400. Okay, so our first requirement is to using the traditional cost system, determine the operating profit per unit for each style of faucet. Okay, so let's we could probably do it right up here, but let's get a separate piece of paper. So I'm going to have a column for brass and chrome and white. And I've got my sales in units. I'm going to put unit sales here, just in case we need it. And this would be 30,000 and 50,000. The other thing this does for you is it gives you a chance to get oriented, you know, so you know what you're looking at. And I've got a selling price. Per unit data, my selling price is 40, 20, 30. So that'd be 40, 20, and 30 per unit. And then we've got costs. We've got direct material costs, less direct materials, and I'll say I'm going to move those over a little bit. That's 8, 4, and 8. Less direct labor. Direct labor is 15,309. 15,3 and 9. Is that better? 15,309. And then overhead, the traditional overhead, that was $12 per unit, and 3 and 9. Yeah. Okay, so if I take this, I have $35 in total costs, so that would give me operating profit of 5. And this would be $10 in cost, operating profit of 10. And for the white one, I've got $26 in cost, operating profit is 4. Okay, so this is part A. Okay. The next thing they ask us for is to determine the activity cost driver rate for setup costs and inspection costs. Okay, and this is where ABC can get a little bit confusing, all right? So we would have, hold on one second here. Okay, let's go back to the assumptions here a little bit. They tell us that these are like the setup and inspection hours per 1,000-unit batch. So if we sell 30,000 brass faucets, that would mean we'd have 1,000 unit batch. That would mean we'd have 30,000 unit batches, right? Okay? This would be 50,000 unit batches, and white would be 40. Okay? So that affects the way we do things. So let's do setups first. We'll do, these would be the ABC driver rates. These would be the same for all the products. So I would have setups are 465.5, and I divide that by 95 setups. That's what they say they're going to have. It's a 9. 95 setups. So that would mean $4,900 per setup. Okay? And then for inspections, I've got a total of 405,000 in inspections, and we expect to spend $2,700 in a year, over the year, in inspections. Okay? So that would give us $105, or $150 rather, sorry, $150 per inspection hour. So far so good, right? Okay, now let's do the ABC part of it. The next question, they want us to know to compute the using the ABC system for each style of faucet, compute the estimated overhead cost per unit, and then compute the estimated operating profit per unit. Okay, so we have, first of all, the brass one. Let's do brass. And those, they asked us for per unit cost too. Now brass has, we've got 30,000 units divided by 1,000 unit batches, units per batch, right? That would give us 30 setups. Okay? Okay, because you set it up for a batch, you don't set it up for a unit. So make sure you understand the differences between the unit and the batch costs. So 30 setups for batches. Multiply this times $4,900 per setup. That gives us 147,000 in setup costs for the brass faucet. Okay? So now the same thing for inspection. This was, or no, that was inspection. I lost track of where this was setups. Okay, now let's say inspections. We've got 30 inspection hours, right? If we've got, it's an hour per inspection. I keep looking at the wrong problem here, sorry. An hour per inspection, yeah. Setup hour, or inspection hours, 30 inspection hours. I knew something was wrong here. So I've got 30 batches. 30 batches times 30 inspection hours per batch. Okay? Alright? Times $150 per inspection hour. That gives me 135,000. Okay? So my total allocated overhead here would be 282,000. That's my total overhead. Okay, total ABC, what's been allocated. So if we wanted to figure out how much that was per faucet, it would be 282 divided by 30,000 faucets equals 940 per faucet. Okay, and you can see up here we had $12 in overhead per faucet for the brass faucet under the traditional method. So here it would be less, it would be 940. Okay, which means that one of these other ones is probably too low. So let's do the same thing now for, we did brass, now let's do chrome. For chrome, I've got 50,000 units. Moving on my data here. And see, chrome takes, if you go back here, chrome takes 1/2 of a 0.5 setup hours, and it's got 20 inspection hours. Okay? So 0.5 inspection hours, and that would be per 1,000 unit batch. So if I've got, for chrome, I've got 50,000 units. 50,000 units times 0.5 gives me 25,000. And if I divide that by 1,000 batches, that gives me 25 batches, okay, per setup hour. See, this is where it gets confusing, are these units. So notice how I label everything, and if I don't label it, I'll get lost. So I make sure that I put, labels on all these numbers. So 25 units per hour, and I would multiply that times $4,900 because that's our cost per setup, and that gives me $122,500. Okay. Now let's do the inspections. So this was setup. Now we'll do inspections. Inspections, I've got 50,000 units divided by 1,000 units per batch, right? That gives me 50 batches times, remember we had 20, we've got 20 inspection hours per batch, yeah. 20 inspection hours per batch, so this would be times 20. They're like big word problems, hours per batch. That gives me 1,000 hours times $150 per hour, or 150,000. So my total overhead now for chrome, this is brass, that's chrome. For chrome is $272,500. I could divide this by, you can still see it, right? I'll put it right under here. 272,500 divided by 50,000 equals 545. Yeah, see, it's a lot different. 545 per faucet. Now you can see under traditional overhead allocation, we allocated $3 per faucet. This came out to be $545, so that's a big difference. Okay, we got one more to go. And that would be the white one, right? white. So setups, let's go back to, let's look at our data. We have the white one, it's the wrong problem. 14,000 sheets here. Okay, we're selling 40,000 white ones. It takes 1 setup hour and 20 inspection hours. Okay? But 40,000 is where we have to start. So we have 40,000 units at 1,000 per batch. Gives us 40 batches. And each batch takes, right from here, one setup hour per batch. And we're doing setups. 40 times 1 setup hour per batch gives me 40 times $4,900 per setup is 196,000. Okay? And if I divide this, if I take that and divide it by my 40,000 units, I get 490 each. Okay? Now we'll do inspection. Inspection, and for inspections, I've got 50,000 units. 40, no. How many units do we have? We got 40,000 units. Okay, 40,000 units. Divided by 1,000 units per batch gives me 40 batches. We could have picked it up there, but until you're a little better at it. 40 batches. And we've got 1 hour, no, for inspection we've got, this one was right, and that is 490, and then here I've got 40,000 units divided by 1,000 per batch is 40 batches times 20 hours per batch. So we're here, 20 inspection hours per 1,000 unit batch. So 40 batches times 20 hours gives me 800 times 150, $150 per hour. That gives me 120,000. $120,000 divided by 40,000 units gives me, I think, it's got to be $3. 140 divided by 40 is $3 per unit. Okay, so then for the whole white faucet would be $4.90 plus $3 is $7.90. All right. So now the last thing that they wanted, so we computed the estimated overhead cost per unit. Now we'll compute the estimated operating profit per unit. So we'll just pick up all this data again. I'm going to have chrome, brass. Chrome was first, right? No, brass, chrome, and white. Brass, chrome, and white, and I've got a selling price. And we got per unit costs of 40, 20, and 30. And then I've got my direct costs, less direct material, and direct material is, I lost it, 8, 4, and 8, 8, 4, and 8. And direct labor is 15, 3, 9, 15, and 3, and 9. And then overhead, our overhead, And our overheads are, our first one is $5.45 for brass. $5.45 for brass. No, not $5.40. $9.40. This one's $9.40. $9.40 and then $5.45. Can you see this? $9.40, $5.45, and the last one was $7.90. Okay, so that gives us an operating profit. Operating profit is $7.60, $7.55, and $5.10. Okay, this is using ABC. Now let's compare it to what we had before. Before, with traditional overhead, we had a profit of 5, 10, and 4. Okay, so it looked like we were making all kinds of money on chrome. We don't, you know, it looks like we're not making very much on brass. All right, so we kind of probably oversold this one, undersold this one, and then the white one wasn't that far off, but it's still, you know, $1.10 per faucet. The operating profit was still higher. Okay.